What up, peeps? Nick Battle, aka NinosCorner, man. Look, Sark is not done recruiting, folks. Look, Silas Bolden. Silas Bolden has. Yeah, folks, sorry about that. Hey, man. So Silas Bolden has just committed to the University of Texas, man. This is my Horns Corner rapid reaction here. He's about 5'7, 5'8", about 175 pounds, but you're talking about a speedy guy. And I'm trying to figure out Sark is recruiting a ton of wide receivers now, folks. Now, I understand that we are definitely losing, X-Man and, Worthy, we have Worthy and, also Mitchell and also Jay Witt as well, but getting a guy like Silas Bolden, who was no kidding a speedster, man, who did great things at Oregon State, is outstanding here for Texas. Texas bringing in Bond, from Alabama. He runs a legit 10-4, 10-500-meter dash in the high school. Also having Jonte Cook, who's another fast guy. And then, look, you couple that with Bond as well. And look, guys, we just got a lot of talent. Also, Matthew Golden, man, it kind of makes you wonder, how is Sark going to get all these weapons on the field at the same time? And I started to just do some digging around, folks, and just starting to see exactly what were the numbers that Sark used when it came to his personnel packages. Last year, Sark ran 11 personnel, folks, which is one running back, one tight end, 45% of the time last year. Okay. So that was mainly like a Jay Brooks or a CJ Baxter coupled at tight end with a guy like JT Sanders, right? Now he ran 12 personnel, his second highest percentage of any formation that he used last year was 27%. And so 12 personnel, folks, one running back, two tight ends, right? And so that's when you have like a Jonathan Brooks and then you have a JT Sanders and like a Gunnar Helm. And he only ran 10 personnel last year, around 6.5%. And then empty personnel, where it's just no running back and all receivers, about 4% of the time. So you would kind of envision a guy like Bolden to come in 10 personnel package, maybe zero personnel package, empty, or maybe they interchange like the slot. With him and maybe a Matthew Golden, those guys take some reps off. But I don't know how this is going to all figure out into the equation with Silas Bolden coming here to Texas. But all I know is Sark is recruiting a bunch of talent that he wants here on this team, and I'm here for it. Folks, this is the call-in show first off, man. So if you want to call in, hit that link in the comment section, or go into the video description, hit the link there. You can dial in, you can voice your opinion, almost like almost like a Paul Feinbaum kind of show, folks. But this is the Horns Corner reaction here for Silas Bolden committing here to the University of Texas, coming from Oregon State. So he just finished up with his visit. And I'm excited about it. I'm still intrigued on how all these weapons are going to be on the field. So Silas Bolden, people want to say he's going to take a little bit of that, Keelan Robinson role. And I don't know about the Keelan Robinson role because, he's a little bit smaller than Keelan, right? What's up, Harish? What's up, man? I see you Thursday, brother. But like he's what, 5'8", about 175 pounds or so, but he's so quick. He's elusive. Is he coming to Texas to take less snaps? I mean, if you think about it, folks, he has more catches last year than any other receiver that is going to be on this roster next year for Texas. So, look, I look for Sark to ramp up that 10 personnel package. And what does this tell me? I would hope for Texas to get another tight end, right? And so JT Sanders going to the league. But look, we got Gunnar Helm, who I think is severely underrated. If Texas doesn't get or doesn't get a Nye Black, or what's the kid's name from Stanford, Urisic, then I think Sark's going to run a lot of 10 personnel. I will not say a lot, but amp that number up from 6.5% to maybe 15 to 17% next year. But I do expect Texas to get another tight end. But this is just weapons on weapons on weapons, folks. I mean, yeah, look, Sark knows what he's doing. You got to trust Sark. He has a lot of wide receivers coming into this room now, and a lot of guys that are going to get a lot of playing time. I'm excited about it, especially going into the SEC. We need all the weapons that we can get going into this conference. And so, like I said, we lose X-Man, we lose A.D. Mitchell, we lose Jordan Whittington, we lose J.T. Sanders, we lose Jonathan Brooks, right? We're just losing a bunch of weapons. People wondering, how do we counter that, right? How do we get more weapons? Well, Sark is doing it, and we're seeing getting a guy like Silas Bolden, right? Getting a Isaiah Bond, getting a Matthew Golden, hopefully getting one of these tight ends here in the portal too as well. So we are securing these talented weapons, and this is something that is great. In the previous staffs, right? And folks, I hate to talk about the previous staffs, but we would always go to the portal to get offensive linemen because we were hurting for offensive linemen, right? Always hurting for linemen, right? We don't have to worry about that now. This staff, we're not hurting for linemen. This staff, we're going to go get skill position players, which are a lot easier to find in college football. There's a lot of great wide receivers that hit the portal. There's so many wide receivers, folks. Just go and look at the draft, right? In the draft, people covet edge rushers, interior defensive linemen, and offensive linemen and quarterbacks, of course, right? But you want to get a player that's going to hit, and you want to get in that first round, just like you want a guaranteed hit, a guy that's going to be there 10, 12 years. You're going to be looking at those guys, on the line. The trenches make everything work. Texas has secured that over these last 3 years. Now it's time to go get that skill position talent that is so deep in the country. There are so many players in the country at wide receiver. It is ridiculous. And Texas has went and plucked some of the best talent in the country. Isaiah Bond, Matthew Golden, and now Silas Bolden, man. I am excited about this one, folks. If you guys can, understand. But hey, this is going to be awesome. He's quick. He knows what he's doing when he gets the ball in his hands, man. He's the guy that catches contested balls too a lot too as well. He gets out of his break fast, great footwork. He's going to be a guy that you can kind of motion out of the backfield as well too. I watched some of his games last year, from Oregon State. And I saw him motion out of the backfield a lot like Keelan Robinson, also a lot like what we saw Sark do with Jordan Whittington as well, right? So Jordan Whittington did this last year as well too. But now you're getting a guy who's probably 10 times more explosive than Jordan Whittington. And that is not a knock on Jordan Whittington, folks, because he's going to be playing on Sundays, but they're just different skill sets. So this gives you the opportunity to have a guy who can also return punts. He can also return kicks as well. I'm excited about it, folks. Get that talent. Danny says, as a receiver, not sure how I feel about him in the rotation. If he's mainly for punt returns, it's probably a good pickup, probably a snowball chance on Ryan Williams anyway. Well, this is what I'll say about this, Danny. I think you got to take him. Sark knows what he's doing. If anybody knows about wide receivers, it's Sark. We saw what he did in Bama, having that crowded room and made everybody happy. The Henry Ruggs, the Jerry Jeudy's, the Devontae Smith, the Jalen Waddles. He made all those guys happy. All those guys ate, right? I think the difference with this, and I kind of see where you're coming from, Danny, with this, is these aren't young players that are coming in to play at Texas. These are going to be veteran guys that are probably looking to do a one and done, or maybe, like a year or two. But hey, man, if you can get 4 guys with experience to come in and do their thing and to, no kidding, whoop ass when we get to the SEC first day, you have to do it. Cape says, I like the wide receiver pickups, but man, we got to get other positions too. Look, I think we've kind of shored up a bunch of what we need, man. I think the main thing that we got to shore up here for this team is more than likely probably the defensive tackle position, but it's so hard to feel that from a transfer portal, right? Missing on Caldwell was huge. We got to assure that Texas needs to hire a line coach so that we can assure our defensive line commitments that, look, this is who's coming to coach. And maybe that conversation's been had already with some of these guys. Who knows? But I do like it because Sark understands the assignment, folks. Sark understands the assignment. Tej, I don't know, man. I don't know. He says, are we getting a defensive line coach after the NFL playoffs? I have no idea. But yeah, I have no idea. But Kate, this is what I want to talk about with this, man. Sark is going to the SEC next year. Texas is going to the SEC. Nick Saban retiring, folks, opened up the SEC. It's wide open. And I'm not saying it wasn't wide open this year. I'm not saying, like Georgia won it the previous 2 years and 2 championships 2 years ago. And look, man, I get it. But Saban leaving has literally opened the floodgates to the SEC, and this conference is right for the picking next year. And I think Sark understands that. He understands the assignment, and he is going to assure himself that this first year in the SEC, this team is going to be ready to compete off the bat for a championship, for an SEC championship, and then to go into the college football playoffs. A 12-man playoff is so easy for Texas to attain next year with the schedule that they got coming up and the players that they're bringing in and the players that are coming back as well. So, look, Cape goes, Sark is secretly switching to air raid. Haha, wouldn't that be something? I doubt that. But yeah, but it is funny as hell. But I think Sark understands the assignment and knows that this conference is ripe, but it is ripe for the takings next year. And Texas, when it comes to SEC schedules next year, it's one of the easier schedules next year. I think out of the 16 teams, I think they have it ranked number 12 or something like that. So it's not like Texas is playing the toughest schedule in the SEC next year. We do have Michigan on the road, so going up to Michigan, but Michigan is losing their starting quarterback. Who knows what's going to happen with Jim Harbaugh? Blake Corum's gone. I think the only player that is like a no-kidding stud when it comes to the skill positions is probably Edwards. He's returning. So yeah, I think Sark understands what he's doing. And he understands the assignment with the SEC. He looks at what Texas has this year. They're bringing a guy like Quinn Ewers back. He's coming to be a starter, a third-year starter going into the SEC in our first year, and he's bringing a bunch of talent. We can easily argue, folks, that the wide receiver room talent that we have on campus for the 2024 season, factoring that health is going to play in the favor of the Longhorns, this might be a more talented wide receiver crew than we had last year. And we got 3 guys that are probably going to get drafted in that room. And so, look, man, Jonte Cook is a budding star. We're going to see how this kid's going to blossom. I mean, I love Jonte Cook. I love watching him in DeSoto when he was in high school. He's just an awesome talent, and it's going to be good to see him next year flourish. I also believe that Matthew Golden is going to be really good next year. He's going to be good. He's a good player. I remember seeing him out of Houston Klein out of high school, an outstanding talent. I remember him being committed to TCU and then decommitting and going to U of H. But Matthew Golden, he's a dog. He's a dude. And then Isaiah Bond has first-round talent written all over him, right? And so this might be an opportunity for Texas to have those 3, and then you couple that with a guy like Isaiah Bond. I mean, not Bond. I'm sorry, Silas Bolden. Man, we got all these B's. We got Bond, Bolden, right? And then we got Golden too, right? So like all these guys, their names kind of rhyme. But you couple those 3 with a Silas Bolden, and you're seeing what Texas is cooking up in the skill position talent. And now you couple that with the running backs that Texas has too as well. Man, look at the running backs that are in that room. CJ Baxter. You got Jaden Blue. You got Savion Red, you got Trey Wisner, and then you got the 2 freshmen, man, Jared Gibson and Christian Clark. I saw pictures of those guys. Those guys look college ready right now. So man, look, I'm excited. I'm excited about it. Danny says 100% he's not doubting Sark. Hey, Danny, I know you're not, man, but I understand where you're coming from, though. I understand where you're coming from. Steve Major says, are we over the 85-player limit? We need defensive linemen. I would expect probably Texas understands that there's probably going to be some attrition here going into spring. We just probably haven't heard of it yet, but probably behind the scenes, they know that people are going to leave. So these numbers are going to even out. This coaching staff would not take players that they know that they wouldn't be able to sign. All right. So Cape goes, what are the equivalent teams in the SEC compared to the Big 12? For example, I think Kentucky is a bit like Kansas State. That's a good question. That is a good question. The overall talent level, of course, in the SEC is going to be better. It is. The second best team in the Big 12 last year is probably OU, maybe Oklahoma State. The second best team in the SEC this year was Georgia. It was Alabama was the best team. They won the conference. Then you had Georgia. And then, of course, you had Tennessee that had a down year when 8-4. I mean, that's a down year for that offense, right? You have Kentucky with the that they have Brown and Key. You got Missouri. with the three-headed monster at wide out. South Carolina's going to be sneaky. Auburn's going to be very sneaky good this year too. Hugh Freeze, man, he's going to bring an offense. So the SEC is tough, folks. Arkansas, which I want to bring into, my next guy here, man, Marcus Myers. Shout out to Marcus Myers, man, lifetime Longhorn, went to college together. Good friend here, man. So he says Arkansas and A&M on the road aren't easy outs. Kentucky isn't a pushover. Schedule is more favorable than some others, but it's going to be different. Kind of grind outside of just Michigan, Georgia, and OU. Exactly. And that's what it's kind of telling Cape there, Marcus, was definitely, man. It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough, but I think Marcus said it best. Texas's schedule for the SEC next year is more favorable than some of those other SEC teams. I think Texas has Vanderbilt next year. They got Florida. They got some teams that probably aren't the cream of the crop. We're not playing, Bama next year, but Bama's looking like, they're, kind of losing everybody. But we are playing Georgia, and Georgia might be the favorite coming into the conference next year. So look, it's going to be a grind, folks. It's definitely going to be a grind, but it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Yeah, man, Harish. Yeah, Jared Gibson's going to be nasty. If you guys saw that picture of Jared Gibson, just how huge this guy is, man, this dude is. He looks he looks college made already. I mean, he's a big dude, and so they showed him training with Christian Clark, Anthony Hills, and CJ Baxter, and he was a thicker guy than all than everybody. And I think Christian Clark might have been the second biggest running back. Their frames, Christian Clark and Jared Gibson's frame, just looked bigger, than CJ Baxter, right? So I mean, it's going to be interesting. But Sark is stacking that talent, folks. You got to love what you're seeing. Harish also says, I think we'll get the DT in the spring portal. Not worried at all. We'll see. Usually DTs are hard to come by because those guys don't grow on trees. Like think of Sweat. Sweat's 6'3", 362 with great feet, right? Like those guys don't grow on trees, man. So teams do whatever they can to keep those guys. That's why I was pretty adamant that I think Texas tries everything that they can to get DeAndre Robinson to stay in his class. Because he's a guy that's around 6'2", 6'3", about 315 or so. You couple that with Alex January, and folks, you're talking about two defensive tackles going into the SEC that could be very nasty. I think that was one of the biggest knocks on probably losing a guy like Bo Davis is kids understand that they can get developed by him. And so kids kind of commit to the coach, folks. And I think we're seeing that now with Alabama, right? We're seeing the great Nick Saban leaves, and there's a wide open roster right there. They hire a great offensive mind, and you got offensive minded guys jumping ship at Alabama. Kids commit to the coach, right? Kids might grow up loving the school and they want to play for Texas, not at Texas. But if playing for Texas meant playing for a guy that was a 4-8 coach, it would be hard to get a kid to come there, right? But when you're playing for Texas and playing for a coach that just played in a national championship playoff, it's a lot easier to tell yourselves that this is where I need to be. But they love the coach that they want to be coached by, and Bo Davis is very important in that. And I hope Texas can name a coach to replace him so that we can keep guys like Robinson if he does decide to stay at Texas. So JD goes, the 2022 year for Tennessee was the outlier, not the norm. They had Hendon Hooker. Look, man, he was good. So Hooker was good, man. I think people thought that Joe Milton was going to step in, but there's a reason Joe Milton is a 5th or 6th year guy. He's a 5-star guy, but there's a reason why he couldn't win a starting job. And it was because guys like Hendon Hooker were better. He was a Heisman candidate, but that offense, people might say that the Tennessee that this season was a down year for them, but I don't think they had the quarterback in place, and they still won 8 games, right? So, look, I get it. Yeah, Ole Miss, Harish, yes, Ole Miss. That's how stacked it is, man. That's how stacked it is. All right, JD, I want to talk to you about this too. So, yeah, he says 8-4 is good for Tennessee. Hey, for the past decade, 8-4 was good for Texas, right? We didn't have the coaching in place to be able to get past that level. I think we have the coaching in place and the talent now. Tennessee has the coach. They have the coach in place now and the talent. 8-4 is going to be a floor for them. I think honestly from now on. They got a great coach. They got a great quarterback, a 5-star guy that's going to do great things there too as well. Like I said, 8-4 is going to be the floor for Tennessee now, as should for a lot of great teams that are considered blue bloods. Yeah, Harish says that some of these guys have multiple years of yeah, that's true. That's true. Help us 2 years now. Yeah, exactly. Cape goes, if Quinn improves like he did his first and his second year, oh boy, he honestly could be even better. Whoa. I'm not saying that. Hey man. I think people forget how good VY was, right? I think people honestly forget just how good he was. Not only high school, but like not only football, like Vince was a guy in basketball. I mean, Vince was a dude, man. I mean, he could have arguably been the first pick of the draft coming out of college. I mean, he single handedly. I mean, he's VY. So I'm not going to put that there. Also, Quinn's in a different offense. He's a more quarterback friendly offense, right? So yeah. Look, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that, Kate. Yeah, I'm not going to put that in the same breath as the great Vince Young yet, man. We gotta just let that play out. So Steve Major says sooner we can get a defensive line coach to better. Exactly. And I already said that one pretty much. JD says Tennessee fans sure hope so. Yeah, exactly. Kate goes good. Exactly. Hey, EJ Wright said what's good, Nick? What's good, EJ? But folks, everything that we're talking about now, man. Silas Bolden has committed to the University of Texas. Like I said, he was the great receiver out of Oregon State, now coming to play for Texas, about 5'7", 5'8", about 175 pounds. But he's a true speedster, and you're seeing him at Sark has a type, and that type is fast, fluid, great feet, and great hands. And Silas Bolden, for his size, he is a great dude who can catch contested balls, and that's one thing that we've needed here in the 40 over the last couple of years. We got a lot of that last year with Mitchell. But now I think we're going to start to see that happen more often with the talent that Sark is bringing in. A lot of speed on the field, folks. A lot of speed on the field with Silas Bolden and Bond, Matthew Golden, and Jonte Cook. Chicken, my homeboy from OU, he says, cluck, Nino. I'm not saying that last piece, Chicken, but, man, thanks for tuning in, Chick. Hey, also, folks, if you're in this chat, man, go like, comment, and subscribe to this. Helps me grow the channel a lot. You guys been with me for a while now. I've been doing these videos for a while. Like these videos, share them, tell your friends about them. This is awesome, man. Again, the topic for today, Silas Bolden, Oregon State wide receiver, commits to the University of Texas. Just came off his official visit. And a lot of people didn't know whether he was going to commit or not, just for the simple fact that we just took, Isaiah Bond, and we got Matthew Golden, and, Jonte Cook's there, and you got DeAndre Moore behind him, and Ryan Wingo coming up, right? And, you got Freddie DuBois and Parker Livingstone and Ryan Niblett. And Sark just says, hold my beer, let's go get some more talent, And so, like I said earlier in the show, this coaching staff understands that the SEC is ripe for the taking this next year. They are ripe for the taking, man. And Texas is returning possibly the best quarterback in the conference next year. One of the deeper rooms when it comes to running backs in the conference next year. One of the best offensive lines in the in the conference next year as well. Just a continuity across the board there. And then they're going to return one of the most skilled wide receiver rooms, if not the most skilled wide receiver room in the conference next year. So the offense is taken care of. The defense, we'll talk about that in another episode. That's one thing that we'll have to worry about a little bit. But, man, look, I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be good. Jared goes, Nick, what up, my guy? What's up, Jared? What's going on, man? EJ says, yep, EJ, you're right. The team's making big moves, man. The team's making big moves. Rock Drums, yeah, the Hook'ems, man, hook 'em, buddy. And EJ also says that this receiving room has to be top 3 with what's already happened. And yes, look, it's one of the top receiving rooms in the conference if these guys stay healthy. Now, we got to see how this is going to gel together, right? We got to see how things are going to shake out during spring practice. We got to see what's going to happen here with this roster as they go through spring and the fall camps. Um, but yeah, Sark knows what he's doing. And Sark does all he also does not want to put himself in a position in that second year where we had Isaiah Nayer, who was going to be our boundary wide receiver, folks. And Isaiah Nayer, from all reports, was shining and doing great things. And he was the guy. And right, so we had our guy opposite of Worthy. Well, when Nayer gets hurt, and then also we end up bringing in Ajay Hall. Ajay Hall didn't work out, for different reasons. It was pretty much the X show his second year here on campus. And that's not fair to Steve Sarkisian. It's not fair to Xavier Worthy that year. It wasn't fair to Jordan Whittington either. These guys were playing out of position. They were asked to do things that they normally wouldn't do. So Sark is stacking his talent, man. God forbid some injury happens, then guess what? You have enough talent on this team to be able to step up and do great things for the school. So yeah, he's stacking the talent. But like I said, I think this team last year we used 10 personnel. I have my notes written down. We used 10 personnel, folks, one running back, no tight ends, so 4 wide receivers basically. We used that 6.5% of the time last year. I could honestly see a tick up in there, and maybe even some 21 personnel or some 20 personnel, right? So 2 running backs, no tight ends, but that second running back might be somebody like a Bolden. And if Bolden is that second running back who motions out of the backfield, is able to drop down and catch balls too as well, you're looking at something special. I just thought about that. So let me check out my stats, man. For 20 personnel and 21 personnel this year, 20 personnel, so 1 tight end. No, I'm sorry, 2 running backs, 0 tight ends. We only 21 personnel. I'm sorry. All right, so 21 personnel, which is so 2 running backs, 1 tight end. We ran that only 33 plays this year. We were successful on 19 of those plays. We ran the ball 12 times out of that. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, so ran the ball 21 times out of that. We were successful 12 times out of that. We passed it 12 times and was successful 7 times. So out of our successful play rates in the run, we were 57% effective out of 21 personnel. The second highest on the team behind empty. And in passing the ball, it was 58%. We were 58% successful passing rate passing the ball out of 21 personnel. That's the highest rate on the team. And look here, folks, we saw this in the bowl game. We ran 21 personnel and 20 personnel in that bowl game for the first drive, and we were killing people. We were absolutely killing people. And I was kind of shocked that Sark kind of went away from it. But maybe this is it. Maybe a guy like, Silas Bolden comes in and he's kind of like the do everything kind of guy that can hit that slot, that can be a second back when asked to, because he did play a little bit of running back, at Oregon State. I wouldn't say play it, but they had him take a few snaps at it. And you can bring a guy like Bolden, motion him out from the backfield, do the damn thing, motion out to catch balls out of the backfield, be in the slot, catch balls over the middle. And we all know that Quinn is really great at those intermediate passing routes. And that's something I think Silas Bolden is going to be able to flourish in. So, man, I'm excited. Now that I think about it, that might be the move, man. That might be the move. So EJ Wright says so much potential to be explosive. Exactly. Rock Drum says, what about the linebackers? I don't want to talk about linebackers yet. This is Bolden's moment here. So Kate goes, we went from losing 80 Mitchell and Worthy, Sanders, and Jay Witt to back to a top 3 receiving class. LOL. Yeah, exactly. Chicken. Yeah, okay. So he goes, did we improve or go stalemate? So Chicken's he's a Sooner, folks. So he's asking about Oklahoma. And he says, I just want a non-Sooner opinion. I think Oklahoma's best thing, Chicken, was probably to keep DG. But hey, this isn't the Sooner show today. We'll talk about that tomorrow on the SEC Connect. Tune into that tomorrow at 7:00. Me, Ty, Chris with a K, Steven, and Jay. EJ says facts. Yeah, so Rich goes, excellent point about Nayer. My boy Sharpshooters Podcast, my boy from Alabama, he says, "What's good, dog? Y'all hit that like button." Exactly. Hit that like button for me, man. And also go to Sharpshooters Podcast too, man. Great content, not just Alabama football. He also has great content about just football in general. So he's good. And Sharp, I I need you on the show soon, man. So look, I'll give you a call here this weekend. So EJ Wright goes, Sark adapts his offense to what weapons he has available to him. With JT gone, I bet you're right, more 10 personnel. And even if it's a slight uptick, right? So 10 personnel, like I said, was 6.5% last year. So what if that's up to 10%, right? So one out of every 10 plays, we're seeing 10 personnel. Use the talent that you have, right? So just use the talent that you have, just to be able to actually be successful in the game. But like I said, Sark's kicking that door, man. He sees that Nick Saban's leaving. We're seeing that roster is not the same as what it was last year, losing their top wide receiver. Is Caleb Downs going to be there? Look, this Bama team is not going to be the same Bama team. So Sark understands that this SEC is going to be a wide open conference this year, and he's here for it. He's here for it, folks, and I'm here for it too. Bring the talent, Sark. Bring the talent. Chickens also says, I want to see Bevo do the SEC mascots what he did to what he did to old Uga, and in the Sugar Bowl when Bam Bam Sam was there. Or to EJ Wright goes, that was the most successful passing formation. Yes, it was limited snaps. 21 personnel was the most successful passing formation, regardless of the number of snaps. So we only had 33 snaps. So if I did that, let's say, for instance, if I said, let's only look at snaps that were 100 snaps or more, the most successful formation is passing formation is 12 personnel package. Yeah, so 12 personnel. And then that's at 55%. But if I look at the jumbo package, which I should just next year, I'm just going to include that into 12 personnel package as a whole, because even though Agbo is an extra offensive lineman, I think that they're really going to utilize him as a tight end, from now on. But out of jumbo package, 100 in 2 plays out of jumbo, Texas was successful 69% of the time when they passed the ball out of there. That means Quinn's getting more protection. He has more, opportunity to see the field, and he does great things when he sees the field. And Texas didn't release Agbo out to catch any balls this year until the bowl game, which is something that I've been screaming about here for a full year. That's a good formation if the opposing team doesn't know what's going to always come out of it. But they were highly successful out of it because we got max protection for Quinn when we had Agbo there. So Rock Drum says that man, they just officially released him. All right, there it is. DeAndre Robinson's gone. So that sucks, man. Thanks for the info, bro. That sucks though, man. That's a guy that I definitely wanted. Yeah, nah, man. It's all good, Rock Drums. All good, man. Big T says, sucks that this probably means we're out for Ryan Williams. No, man. Look. You can't say that, man. You can't say that. Ryan Williams is going to always be in play for any team. Now, he is going to go visit Alabama again. And if I'm Ryan Williams and his family and his inner circle, I'm going to go visit Alabama too. I mean, you got, Kalen DeBoer is one of the best offensive minds in the country. And we saw what he did against Texas, and we saw that his offense is electric. So that's why it's kind of mind-boggling to see so many Alabama, offensive players jump ship, because Kalen DeBoer can coach some offense, guys. And he's bringing his whole staff when it comes to offense over. So there shouldn't be a drop-off on the offensive side of the ball for Alabama. So it's interesting to see that some of those wide receivers are actually jumping ship. And, Black also jumping ship at the tight end position, because I think he would have ate in that offense. But hopefully Texas gets him. Sharpshooter's Pocket says, I got you. Yeah, same here, brother. Funky Chicken 15, he'll show up too. My dog Chicken. Let's see. The room is even more crowded. He could go somewhere else and have a better chance at seeing the field this year. Look here, if Ryan Williams comes to Texas this year, he has a great chance of seeing one of those guys that is crowded in that room that just came might be sitting the bench. That's how good Ryan Williams is. So, guys like that, they're that talented. I don't think they care about that. Like he knows he's great. He knows he's going to play, right? So he's good, man. He's good. Chicken says, Nino, Texas has always had the talent. Sark is developing, and that's impressive. That's coming from a Sooner. Hornstown respect. Chicken, I always say this, man. Texas has always had the skill talent, wide receivers, running backs. What Texas was lacking was those linemen, right? And so, I did a video years back, and it's not relevant to today because the landscape has changed so much within the team right now. But over a 5-year span, so Charlie Strong's last year and Tom Herman's, his 4 years here. During that, no, I'm sorry, Charlie Strong, no, Tom Herman's, he was here was he here 3 or 4 years? I forgot. But anyways, all of Tom Herman's tenure plus whatever was left over to get to 5 years here for Texas. Texas ranked dead last in offensive line recruiting in the Big 12, tied with Kansas. The only reason that we were actually winning games was that we were out skilling people and out talenting people at the skill positions, right? So we had better quarterback play than Kansas, and we had better wide receiver play and better running back play, and better cornerback play and better safety play, better tight end play. But it was the offense and defensive lines that weren't at the level that they should have been. And look, we saw Sark address that offensive line in his first 2 cycles, and that offensive line went from a weakness to a strength. All right. So, uh, Jared, hey, man, you drinking that Kool-Aid today, ain't you? He said, yours Heisman Trophy winner next year, no doubt. Yeah. Hey, man, I got to see it first. I got to see it. And Sark coach of the year again next year. Oh, man. Ed Blake says, we live today. What it do? Yeah, what it do, Ed? But, folks, I appreciate you guys dialing in, man. Look, it's been 42 minutes, man. So, look, appreciate you guys coming in today. If you haven't heard, news of the day is Silas Bolden. He commits to Texas. He transfers from Oregon State to Texas. He is going to be the third guy to transfer as a wide receiver here to Texas in this class. Behind Matthew Golden, who was the first, and then Isaiah Bond, and now we got Silas Bolden. So Sark's bringing in the talent. Like I said, he sees that the SEC is right for the picking next year, and Sark wants to go in there and do great things next year in his first season in the SEC, and I think he's going to do a great job at it. And I think Sark's going to utilize those weapons. And just going through the notes here as I'm talking to you guys, I can definitely see some more 21 personnel packages where Silas Bolden is not only used as a wide receiver, but he's going to come out, out of that backfield as a running back and motion out and do great things out of the backfield. And I think that's where probably Sark is looking at this. It's just my educated guess. Nothing behind the scenes or anything. It's my educated guess. I can see Silas Bolden coming in a lot of 21 personnel, and then Sark and team increasing that 10 personnel package. If it's not 6.5% like it was this year, maybe it goes up to 8.5%, 9%, 10%, right? And so even the slightest amount that a team usually runs, let's say 70 plays a game, and if they do that 10% of the time at 10 personnel and he's on the field, look, that's 7 plays for him there, which is the equivalent of a drive. And if he does 21 personnel and he's in the backfield, another 10 or 15% of the time, you're looking at another 10 plays. And so you can easily see this guy be in the field for 15 to 20 plays a game and have impactful plays. And so, man, this isn't a guy that's just only going to be a wide receiver, in my opinion. He is going to fill a couple of roles. And I think he's going to be great at it, man. Sark knows what he's doing. Trust in Sark, man. In Sark, we trust. But a few more comments, and I am out. Sark needs to work on that defense. Defense wins championships. We getting there, man. We getting there. Honestly, he has worked in the defense. The safety, getting, Andrew Makuba and having Barron come back, and, cornerbacks looking good with Manny Muhammad, and hopefully his cousin can come here. But we got John, we have Brooks, also too, Terrence Brooks and Derek Williams coming back, and Phil Samee. Look, so I think the talent's there. Linebackers good with Anthony Hills and Samaje Burrell and, LaFau and David Benda. So, like Sark's doing his thing. Sark's doing his thing. Another comment here, not wanting to be a downer, but if Quinn can't figure out the deep ball on top or just taking the next step, the offense will probably look like it did this year. We'll see.
And then Rock Drums goes, I wonder what the next steps are in the evolution of Ewers. Hey, man, it's going to be interesting, but it's his third year starting and talking in some back channel chats with a couple of guys. And I think, if Marcus, is on here too as well, I think me and Marcus were saying after the bowl game, I put a comment in our chat section that, we have with a bunch of folks that Vince's third year starting. No, Vince's third year of play, which is his fourth year in college, was when he really bloomed and blossomed. All right. I mean, that was the year we won the championship. And that was his fourth year in college. That's the great Vince Young, folks. Sometimes it takes time for these players to be able to be great. Right. And that's the great Vince Young we're talking about. Yes, his third year in college, his redshirt sophomore year, was good. The game that put him on the map was the Michigan Rose Bowl. But if you go look back at that season, because I was on campus at that time, we won every game except one. We got beat by Oklahoma. We lost 0-12, right? We lost 0-12. We didn't put up any points, right? And Vince wasn't transcendent yet. Like, I think Michigan, it clicked. I think the whole season it was clicking. It was clicking, but we were barely getting by winning some games. That next season, folks, that third year of starting for Vince, it clicked. And we blew everybody out the doors that year, folks. Like we won kind of convincingly pretty much every game with, maybe -1 or 2. But it was a whole different season from what we had the previous year because of the confidence that exuded out of Vince Young, right? And I think Quinn takes that next step. I do, especially with the weapons that he has. I think Quinn takes that next step, right? So, I want to bring this kind of thing here is that Vince's third year, they go to Rose Bowl, beat Michigan. We had a guy named Cedric Benson. Rest in peace, Ced B. He was our running back, right? Rest in peace, Ced B. That next year, with losing a first round draft pick at running back, 4th pick of the draft, and Cedric Benson, the guy who broke every record here at Texas and owned records in the NCAA as well, as far as just different categories, Heisman finalist, whatever. I mean, everything. He was all world, right? When Ced B, the great Ced B, leaves, we got this little freshman, right? His name's Jamal Charles. He comes in. People don't really know a lot about him. You know what I'm saying? And, people knew about him, but, the big fish at that time was Adrian Peterson, right? People were mad that we didn't get Adrian Peterson. And, we had this little guy named Jamal Charles who came in, and, this other guy named RT, Ramonce Taylor, and had a veteran back there. His name was Selvin Young. And, this team made do. This team made do, right? This team made do. This team did great things. They ended up winning the championship that year. So sometimes you might lose players and you think the world is at its end and we're not going to do as good as this team did before because we lost Bijan. Like, we lost Bijan and Rojo this year, folks. We went from 8-4 to 12-1, right? So there's a maturation process that happens. And Quinn is in that maturation process. And I think he's going to do really good things in this next year. I really do. I do. That this third year starting for him is going to pay dividends for Texas. It's going to be more comfortable with the offense. And this is his team. It's his team now. It's his team. Everybody in here is new except him. So he's either going to take the bull by the horns and go with it, or he's going to fall by the wayside. And I don't think he's going to fall by the wayside. I think he's going to take this bull by the horns, and this is his team. And I look at Texas doing some damn good things in 2024, man. Damn good things. All right. So just a few more comments before we head up out of here, man. Malcolm Teen said, if Quinn throws that last throw to the rope, we're in the national championship game. True. But that's the maturation process, right? We're one play away from the national championship. And we played a horrible game. I was watching a podcast with Jeremy Hills, who played at Texas. He was a running back. His brother, Tony Hills, I was his RA in college. He's a good friend of mine, too. I actually had him on the show about a couple years ago. But he said Texas played their absolute. They played. Washington played their best game. Texas didn't play their best game. It came down to one play, right? So if Texas would have won that game, Texas would have got, I mean, Washington would have gave us that game, basically. We would have got over in that game. Washington was a better team that night. I don't think they beat this Texas team. Out of 10 times, I think Texas probably wins six times, 6 or 7 times, right? That's just my opinion. But Texas left a lot of meat in the bone, 2 fumbles. Texas has left a lot of meat in the bone in that game. And it still came down to the last play of the game. So, come on. I mean, you tripping. Okay. I have big hopes for Quinn, though. He can be a number 1 pick. Yep, you guys had DeMarco. Chicken. Speaking of running backs, CJ needs to put in that work because Blue looks like he could be for it. Blue is the real deal, man. Y'all need to put some respect on Jaden Blue's name. I did, say that I was going to kind of leave the show now, but hey, look, man, Jaden Blue, he was the number 1 running back in the country his junior year before having to sit out his senior year, right? And that dropped him down. It plummeted his rankings down. He was on his way to being a high 4-star, if not a 5-star guy. But he was the number 1 running back in the country his junior year. So he's no mince to meet, folks. Jaden Blue's that guy. And I think we're seeing exactly why he is that guy. Big T says, I am glad Quinn is coming back. Rather not go into the SEC with a guy that's never started, even though I think Arch is going to be a star. Exactly. This is why this is so important. This is why it's so important. You want experience to be on this team, especially as a signal caller here at the University of Texas. Why are you going to the SEC? You want this first year to be great. And this is my last one. Victor Santiago says, we need to hire our damn D-line coach that need to be able to stop the run again next year in the SEC. Exactly. But folks, on that note, man, look, I'm going to head out. It's been good talking to you guys, almost an hour. And look, in this podcast, like in all of them, don't be afraid to fail. Outgrow your environment, understand your brilliance, man. Them horns always up. NinosCorner, we out. Deuces, we out.